What do we do when a model doesn't exist anymore? Do we accept defeat and not have one? Do we buy a cheap recast? Or do we suck it up and build our own? In this case, that's what I did. I banded together with a bunch of friends to make 7 Chaos Spawn for good old Papa Nurgle, so that he doesn't kill us in our sleep. My idea was to get a giant Chaos Spawn for my army, but how was I supposed to get one? They were nowhere to be found. So I had to jump into the fine art of sculpting miniatures, with no clue what the hell I'm doing. So I built up an armature from pipe cleaners since I don't own any armature wire, then covered it in tinfoil and wrapped it completely in milliput so that it looked quite snake-like. I still had some bits left over from my Flesh Eater Courts and Iron Jaws warbands for Warcry, so I picked out some bits that looked fun. Then I started jamming faces into the body. I figured these might look like the souls of his victims trying to escape. I even stuck a couple of axes in there to look like he's been attacked at some point. It felt like he'd need some arms, but 2 just wouldn't cut it, so I found 6 in different sizes that I could poke in there along the body, and thought, what could make this more terrifying? Wings. A flying snake monster swooping through the battlefield would put the shits up anyone, and a little hairy back bump will just look funny, so let's go with that. But he can't see, he needs eyes. So I cut the top off an empty Citadel paintball and trimmed it down until it would fit on the very tip. And then I wrapped it in a bit more milliput to make eyelids and to hold it in place. Had a wee think to myself and I thought, teeth. Teeth can be scary. But what if the teeth were around the eye so it just looked horrific but couldn't actually eat anything? It would be ridiculous, but great. So I did it. And then I wrapped the teeth in more milliput lips and textured them a wee bit. To make them really disgusting looking, I grabbed my Martian Iron Crust texture paste and went to town over the whole body. This should dry all cracked and grotty looking. Now to give him a nice quick and dirty paint job to match the rest of my death guard. To get that really disgusting, almost poo-like to him, I covered the whole body in Rhinox hide and then stippled on various browns like Mornfang brown and Scrag brown, before adding in a little sand colour and then some yellow to get some interest points, because you know, there's always corn in your poo, isn't there? I did the same technique for the lips and the arms, but I used some darker flesh tones, starting at the dark and then stippling up lighter as I went. Added some bone colour to the extra little bony bits around the body. To get that really disgusting look, I took a handful of different coloured washes and slopped them everywhere, letting them all mix in and getting a whole mishmash of colours and a really nice rotten look. While I waited for the washes to dry, I coloured the eye grey, and then I gave the wings a coat of light flesh tone, and again stippled up higher towards white, before giving them the same wash treatment as the body, but this time I used more green and yellow tones. To make the faces look just as disgusting and part of the body, I gave them a coat of Nurgle's rot. This will help them stand out a wee bit and give them a bit more contrast as well. A coat of gloss varnish over the whole body will finish off that disgusting slimy poo look. Slap a fresh contrast on the hump, sorted that out easy enough, before I sorted out the eye with a base coat of dark blue, and yes, stippled on some light blue and then some even lighter blue to get that nice iris effect. Adding a black pupil in the centre with a nice shiny white highlight makes it look great from a distance, but just don't look too close. Teeth are one of the last things to do before we can put them down, so I got out the bone colour and coated all the teeth before I messily covered them in a yellow wash. Since a guy like him wouldn't have healthy teeth, we'll give him some bleeding gums with a heavy helping of blood. We better get that eye glossed over to make it look nice and wet before we finish, by pouring on some of my homemade base ready mix and paint the rim black.
Behold the Jobby-Woggy, the most disgusting of the 7 spawn of Nurgle.
If you want to see the other 6 spawn, go and check out the links in the description for Winter Wizard, Forge of Solus, PATCHWORKSHOP, Vivid Mini Mods, EDNELLS Crafting, and Useless Wizard Minis. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe and tell them how awesome they are. You can always subscribe to my channel too, it's the polite thing to do after managing to watch all the way to the end. With that said, come back next time and see what we decide to do then. Catch you later.